welcome back to Conversations from the Hearth. Today we have a very special episode, a State of the Dojang episode, where we're going to be talking about some upcoming changes to some things that are going on at the school that are going to be rolling out over the next few months here at Rising Phoenix. We're going to talk today about the Orange Belt. We're going to talk about a new belt tip system and also some new classes that are going to be available for our Warrior students and students in the standard program. So we're going to deep dive into all these topics. Thanks for tuning in today, and let's hop right into it with the Orange Belt. So Grandmaster Olds, could you share a little bit about the Orange Belt? We've seen it around, it's been in the lobby, we've heard a little whispering going on about this new belt. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, sir?
Yes, sir. So to rewind a little bit, we had been pushing a lot of kids into the standard program because our initial philosophy was, well, they're going to want to train with their parents, and we should try to get them training with their parents as early as possible because we really wanted to be the premier family martial arts school. But what we were realizing is that even though their attitude and their focus was ready to be in the standard program, their spatial awareness and physical problem solving wasn't quite at a level where they could ingest the curriculum and get the same amount of rewards without very careful instructor help. And they really needed an instructor to help mold their arms and maybe be that partner for them so that they're not getting silly and kind of falling apart. And sometimes it's not even about being silly. It's just that, you know, they both got the wrong foot forward, they got the wrong hand out, and then they're just really struggling to figure out how to put that piece together. But if an instructor was there to put the right foot out, the right hand out, and to help mold their hand to go in the right location, they could be very successful. But in order for us to do that, we had to bring it to a different venue, which was our Warriors program. And so that's why we have bumped up the Warriors program from initially 6 to 8. And with the new Orange Belt, I'm excited to announce that we're going to be bumping it up one more year to 9. And that's because as we're continuing to refine our program and watch our students, we're seeing these benchmarks where they are able to handle the more sophisticated curriculum, and we are better able to dial in on that. Now, I've been dialing in on that for 25 years. I've been teaching. And so it's really takes a long time, a lot of looking to really see when that age is. And so, you know, maybe from the sidelines, a lot of parents think, well, my kid's ready. My kid's ready. Listen, I thought my kid was ready too. And by watching over a long period of time, I've been able to really see not any individual kid, but all the kids as a whole, when they are ready to go up to that next program. And that's why we're making this decision to continue to increase the standard program. And as we do that, we can create a more mature environment for our adult students, which are, you know, apt to tackle the more advanced curriculum. That's what they're here for. And we want to make sure that they're getting what they want out of the program as well. So those are some reasons why we're making that change, why we're increasing that bar. And because of that, we're realizing that if someone just gets their purple belt with 9 merits, that they're not necessarily going to be ready to move into the standard program, because we're actually realizing that we have some of the most dedicated, ambitious, and passionate students. It's the Warriors program is no exception. And these kids, they have great focus and great attitude, and they're ready to go, and they're pushing hard, but they still haven't developed that spatial awareness to move into that program. And so we want to keep them in the Warriors program and continue to develop the things that they're good at. What we've also been noticing is that if kids do what they're good at, they will continue to develop and refine in those areas at a pretty rapid pace. But if they do what they're not good at, they seem to just kind of get stuck and not develop as well. And so we want to make sure that they are doing what they can do and not what they can't do on a daily basis. And that's why we're making these changes. Now, in order for us to expand out the Warriors program, we have to add another belt so that they can have something to continue to aspire towards, to keep training for. The purple belt, well, many of you probably already know this, but some of you may not, is sort of the analog to the black belt, and it is equivalent to the yellow belt. So a purple belt is like an uncertified yellow belt, and the orange belt is going to be like an uncertified green belt.
Yes, sir.
And if you want to think about like where that kind of fits in, if a purple belt is a black belt, well, then maybe you would say that like a orange belt is reminiscent of the red belt in old Japanese style martial arts like karate and judo. So red belt in Taekwondo is below black belt actually, but in Japanese styles, and that's one of the signature things about Taekwondo. But in Japanese styles, they tend to be it tends to be the very highest rank that you can achieve. And before you get your red belt, you usually get some form of coral belt. So you'd have like a black and red, and then a white and red coral belt, and then you'd eventually get your full red belt at 9th degree black belt. So 7th and 8th and 9th degree black belt, those would be the red belts. So you might say that a orange belt is kind of like the grand master belt of the Warriors program. Now, of course, you know, it's not exactly a grand master, you know, because this is our Warriors program, but that's kind of how maybe you can internalize it a little bit if you want. So these are very serious ranks in the Warriors program. We're happy to announce that a few people are getting very close to earning the very first orange belts here. And there are some of the reasons why we're like, they're just not ready to go into the standard program, but we want to keep them going because they're doing great things. And so that's why we're implementing that orange belt. And we're excited to see where that takes them. And because we are expanding out the Warriors program so much, we feel like we need to offer additional services to that program to continue to flesh it out so that people can keep being inspired for the next many years training in the Warriors program. So the Warriors program, when we first started it, you know, I said, oh, there's a deficiency here. All the other schools in the area, they're starting at like 7 and 8 years old. I can go lower. I've worked with kids that are very young. I think I can do it. And what we found is like, wow, we seem to be pretty good at this because everyone wants to come and do our Warriors program. I think because of that, we are starting to say, well, let's make this not just some small starting program, but let's make this one of our premier programs here at the Academy and really flesh it out and give it the attention that it deserves. And we're going to get into that when we talk about the classes in a little bit and how we're going to do that. But it all starts with continuing the progression with the orange belt, and that's why that is coming to the Warriors program.
Yes, sir. So I know we talked a little bit in the past few months, you know, past few weeks as we've been building up to the introduction of this belt. You know, with the Young Warriors program, we were looking out on the floor and seeing like, you know what? It's not that these kids can't do it. It's that we are asking them to do things that are going to be just physically really challenging. And the analogy that I made, you know, for somebody who doesn't maybe watch martial arts as closely is it's like if you are teaching a student addition and subtraction, and then you say, all right, time to go to algebra class. And they're like, hang on, we skipped a little bit in the middle there. And so for me, I've been thinking about this change as, all right, we're building on those fundamentals. We're going into the multiplication and division. We're continuing to build these skills so that by the time they transition into the standard program, which is going to be that higher level curriculum, they have the foundation, they have the skill set, and they have the experience to hop in and say, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing here. Okay, this makes sense. And at this point, we've seen some students who maybe were still needing to build on those fundamentals, transition into that class and say, whoa, hang on, it's a little too fast paced. I'm still a little confused, and I need that one-on-one instructor time. With the orange belt, with the kind of updates to the Warriors program, we're going to be able to provide the students that level of instructor time and attention that they need in order to continue to grow. Let's see. Oh, okay. So one of the questions I had about the orange belt is when students earn their orange belt, you know, they're going to be going for many, many years. Does a student in the Warriors program have to earn their orange belt in order to transfer into the standard program? This is a question we received with purple belt before, but I thought it would be good to talk through that a little bit.
No, they do not.
Yes, sir.
And they will transfer at whatever their rank equivalency is in the standard program. So they're gaining progression in the standard program even when they're in the Warriors program. So I don't want you guys to feel like, oh, they're expanding out the Warriors program and now my kid is stuck and he's not gonna be able to
Yes,
really
sir.
progress. No, he's progressing. He might be progressing, he or she might be progressing a little bit slower, but that's also because they're not having the same demands put on them. And ultimately, I think it's gonna make them much better
Yes, sir.
martial artists. And I think they're gonna be less likely to quit because they're gonna be approaching content and curriculum that is matching their abilities, as opposed to putting them into an
Yes, sir.
arena that they don't
Yes,
do
sir.
well in, and then they feel sort of unequipped and want to quit. And that might manifest in a lot of different ways. I might say, I'm getting bored. Well, you're not really, the reason why you're getting bored is because the curriculum is so far above you. If you stuck a kid who knew
Yes.
addition and subtraction and doing algebra, he would be getting bored too. And you might not say, oh, it's because I can't handle the algebra. You might just say it's because I'm bored, but there's really underlying things going
Yes,
on
sir.
there that we need to address.
Yes, sir.
Another thing we should make mention, and I don't know if we've officially ever said this, but this is a change that has actually been in the works for a while. We are looking to see students get checked off on their curriculum in order to earn their next belt rank
Yes,
once they get to a double red band. So when they get their double red band, we want to see them checked off on the white belt curriculum, the basic white belt curriculum. So that means your Kichos 1 through 4 and your defenses against the wrist grab.
Yes, sir.
When they know those things, they should go find an instructor after class or before class.
Yes, sir.
And get checked off on those things. Now our checkoff system is a graded system, just like evaluation, and it's going to help you determine, well, how well do you know it? Because no one really just knows something or doesn't. They know it in gradations. And so we're looking to see them get checked off on their curriculum at a 3 or higher in order for us to even consider them for purple belt.
Yes, sir.
Attendance is important. Attendance and attitude are largely determining whether they get those next ranks as they're going up. Little bit ability, but not so much in the Warriors program. Mostly attendance and attitude. Those are the things we're really looking at. But once they hit double red band, then we really want to see them start learning their curriculum. And they're going to have to learn those 2 pieces in order to test, or no, they're not going to test. They're just going to be given it, but it's going to be given because we see those things and we see their attendance and we think about their attitude. Then in order to go from purple to orange, they have to learn their yellow belt curriculum, which is Dojang. Okay, that's your basic form. And then your chest grab escapes. And when they know those things, they should get checked off on those. Now, you have a lot of time because it's going to take probably years to go from a purple belt to an orange belt. Okay, it could take less. It depends on how much they come. It's certainly not impossible, but my expectation is probably take a couple years to go that distance. So you have a lot of time to learn that stuff, but don't wait until the very end because it is challenging curriculum for kids that age. And then of course to go from your orange belt to your ultimate blue belt, which is where you would test into, you would evaluate into the standard program, you will have to know the green belt curriculum, which is quite challenging. You will have to know Pogwe Samjang, and then you have to know your headlock escapes. And headlock escape number 4 is a challenge even for a lot of our adults. So, but they're going to have a lot of time to make that transition. And because of that time in belt, we're going to be adding some classes to create a sort of progression that mirrors our standard program so that people feel this sort of like, okay, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. There's new things that are learned as you go forward.
Yes, sir.
We'll get into that in a little bit.
So to hop in there as well, we had talked a little bit ago about, okay, well, my student might be in the Warriors program now for longer than I anticipated. Does that mean they're getting stuck or that they're getting slowed down? I think to reiterate here, no, they're going to be working on the exact same curriculum as the adults are working on in the standard program,
which is nice because you can help your kids. If you want to jump in there in the standard program and start training, even though you might not be able to train together, and the reason why that is because we really feel like this is going to be better for them.
Yes, sir.
You can teach them their curriculum and it'll be everything they need to know. So it'll be very helpful
Yes,
for
sir.
you training.
Yes, sir. And
it's not always like that. A lot of schools are not like that. A lot of schools, they have different curriculum for the kids than they do for the adults.
Yes, sir.
But we treat our children like they're adults. We try to create a school where the children stand on the shoulder of giants, which are their parents. That's the kind of school that we try to be. And we try to tell them to look up to their parents, to look up to the adults as their role models.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so everybody will be working that curriculum, and we'll be able to, just continue, maybe not in the same class training together, but as a school training together. Say, okay, you know, I have my little brother in the Warriors program. I say, show me Pagwe Iljong, and he should be able to say, yes, sir, I've been working on this, you know. And I was like, great, let's keep working on it together. Okay, so that is a lot of what I think we wanted to discuss with the Orange Belt. So just to reiterate, you know, talking about that progression from purple to orange, just like purple belt, there's going to be 9 merits on that orange belt. And so, you know, sky is the limit, guys. I know a lot of those students in the Warriors program right now, they've had their eye on that 9th merit purple belt. Well, now, here we go. I want to see your eye moving on to that 9th merit orange belt. And like you said, there's a few that already have started to get the little
I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yes,
the first few people to get that orange belt, it's going to be like a whole another level, and it's going to unlock some cool new classes.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that going to keep things really exciting for them.
Yes, sir. Before we get to the classes, with the orange belt, with the purple belt, as this is all kind of rolling out over these next few months, we're also going to start to see some different tips on these belts. So, for example, the orange belt, typically in the Warriors program, at the end of all the belts, we're seeing black tips. So you'll have a banded belt, and there will be a little black tip at the end, or you'll have a purple belt with a larger tip. But going forward, these are going to be gray tips in the Warriors program, and that's going to lead into a larger discussion about the gray tip, about this change to the belt tip system. So starting there, could you tell us a little bit about the idea behind the belt tip system first, and then can we talk about what the gray tip means and how that is going to change the significance of those tips going forward?
Yes. So finding the right place to start this conversation. There's a couple of dilemmas that I've been milling about for many, many years, trying to figure out how to solve. And one of the great things about, you know, starting our own mixed martial arts program is that we have the opportunity to right some of the issues that are in the industry that have prevailed the industry for decades and decades, and other instructors don't really have a good solution. So they end up doing things like, well, I'm going to promote this person to a black belt even though they're 8 years old because they've put in that amount of time.
Yes, sir.
And there's no delineation between kids and adults in that particular style. And so they just basically have to give out that rank after that amount of time. And one of the things that we can do is we can really break down our systems and look at them and say, well, what really makes sense? Because one of the things that's very important to me is integrity.
Yes, sir.
Not just with our business and how we conduct it, but also with our rank and how we promote people. We want people to genuinely feel like that rank has meaning and value, and it's something that's worth attaining and striving hard to achieve. And one of the, I'll get this out of the way first. One of the things that with our induction system, we have a very unique induction system, which is really beautiful in my opinion. I've been inducting people into my schools since I was 18 years old, and since the very beginning, because I myself had to restart many times, and I've trained in many different disciplines, and I knew how frustrating that experience was. And that's literally the experience in almost every other school out there, is you just have to start over. Even if you did Taekwondo, even if you did Kukiwan Taekwondo, which is our style of Taekwondo, you potentially would have to start over, especially if you weren't a black belt. And that is not the case here. What we will do is we will look at your overall ability and we will place you into a rank that we feel matches your ability. Now, it may be like maybe one or two belts below or something, and maybe a little bit below where you are, because we also want to see that loyalty and commitment. And as we see that, we'll promote you up to where you need to be. But that's a really unique system. And as I've worked on that, we have a really cool way of inducting people. Basically, the first rank that you earn, that we put you in, is uncertified.
Yes,
so you
sir.
can't just take your belt and go. You have to put in time.
Yes, sir.
And depending on what rank we bring you in at, you will not be able to become certified until you evaluate for your next rank. And so what that means is the higher rank you earn, the longer you have to wait before you become certified.
Yes, sir.
It's beautiful. I think it's simple, but it's beautiful. And I've always wanted to be able to make that delineation of whether they have a certificate or they don't, just by looking at the belt. So firstly, that's what a great tip means generally, is that you're not certified. And so we will use the great tip for people who are going through this induction process, that we want to say, yeah, they have this ability, but they haven't shown their loyalty and commitment yet. And we want them to go through that, so that, imagine if you're training and you worked really hard for many, many years, and all of a sudden this guy just jumps in line in front of you. How frustrating that would be.
Yes, sir.
But if they jump in line with the gray tip, then you're saying, okay, I see what's going on here. I understand that they're going through this long induction process that will eventually lead them to be exactly the same thing as me, but they're going to have to go through that. And that's only fair, because they are being given a great gift by not having to start over like I did, and basically every other martial artist out there had to do.
Yes, sir. Can I hop in here real quick?
Yes,
so to kind of discuss the induction system a little bit. So a new student that would come in, say we meet somebody at a festival and they say, oh, I've done martial arts before. We would say, okay, come to our school. We'll give you a great belt. The great belt is going to have a great tip. Grandmaster Olds, you will watch that person over, maybe a month or so, maybe a little longer, and say, okay, today we're going to take off your gray belt. We're going to hand you, say, a green belt. But the green belt will have a great tip on it until they
test for their blue belt.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Until they evaluate for their blue belt.
And that's that kind of proving ground. That's that time that they need to put in, like you're saying, so that the person who's been on the mats for 1, 2, 3 years doesn't say, oh, hang on a second. This guy just came in first day and now he's lining up here, and what's going on? And so
yes, because part of your rank is your ability, but part of your rank is your loyalty and dedication.
Yes, sir.
And that needs time to prove.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it just creates that sense of clarity on the floor, so that people can look and say, like you said, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Maybe I haven't met this guy before, but I see he's got a great tip. Something interesting is going on there. Maybe I can talk to him about it. Maybe I can introduce myself and say, hey, welcome to the school. How did you get that belt? Or great to see you in that belt, or little things like that. So you talked a little bit about the great tips, meaning that this person does not hold certification. Can you discuss that a little bit in terms of like the Warriors program? Because we talked about great tips in the Warriors program.
So that is principally the reason why the Warriors program, no, you don't have to go through evaluation. And because of that, you don't get certified. And so because of that, it only makes sense that if a great tip means that you don't have a certificate, that all Warriors program belts are great tips.
Yes, sir.
Now, the principal difference, once you get to the standard program, between a gray tip and a black or white tip, depending on if you're a color belt or a black belt, is the difference between a person who's on a professional martial arts path and the person who's on a recreational, maybe amateur path. And the reason why this is so important is because there are people in our school and outside of our school, and every school I ever trained at, this has been an issue. And no other school has had an ability to address this issue properly, because it's not built into any other system.
Yes, sir.
So that's why we're building this in. You will have students that have shown incredible dedication, heart, commitment. This means so much to them, and they've trained for a very long time. But they haven't been able to move their ability to the next level of athleticism and fitness. And that is required in order to become ultimately a fourth degree master instructor.
Yes, sir.
Like, if you're gonna carry such a heavy title as an expert in a field, then you have to have the ability, in my opinion. And so what I've been kind of running into is, and this is me being a little bit honest here, and that's why we're choosing to do this in long form.
Yes, sir.
Because we wanted to, if you just start seeing these great tips show up, you're gonna be like, well, what's going on here? And am I getting some weird demotion? And I don't get it. So I want to have a little heart to heart here. And I might even get emotional just talking about it, because I really love, respect, and appreciate all my students. And I've had students with me that have been on the mats with me day in, day out, and put so much blood, sweat, and tears into their training. But whether it's fitness or something else, there's something kind of blocking them from getting to that next level. And I'm left with two choices. Choice number one, they stay at whatever that rank is for the end of time.
Yes, sir.
Now, when I say that to a young buck martial artist who's just all about like being competitive, it's like, you got to prove your dominance. And, if you're going to be this rank, you have to show those skills. They might say, well, if they don't have the ability, don't give them the rank, right? Okay, that's true. For how long? 1 year? Keep them at that rank? Because in 1 year, they're probably not gonna be any better. 2 years? Probably not gonna be any better. Some people, maybe 10 years, they're same. For the rest of their life, they're gonna stay there the rest of their life. If you really think how this all plays out, do you think they will keep training?
Yes, sir.
40 years from now as a blue belt? I don't think so. They're going to quit after 6 months. They're going to quit after some period of time where they're not getting any more advancement. But they're just not ready to take their training to the next level.
Yes, sir.
So I'm stuck between, we talk a lot about two kinds of schools that we're not trying to be. One is a rope school. You got 3 guys. They all got cauliflower ear. They're super mean. You go on the mats. You're scared the first day. They knock 90% of the people off the first day. And only the people that are left are like the most hardcore martial artists. Those are few and far between, and they usually don't make enough money to keep their lights on. So you got to find them a little hole in the walls. But they exist. But that's not the kind of school we're trying to be. I mean, who are you going to affect? Like 3 people? Like, we're trying to change the industry. We're trying to actually change lives. We need to get in front of as many people as possible and try to get them as far down the path as possible. That's our goal.
Yes, sir.
The other side is the elevator school. Everyone gets to the top. The guy can't kick above his waist. He's 5th degree black belt. We'll keep moving him up. Those are the 2 choices that exist. And the reason why they exist is because they don't have a tip system that we're going to be implementing here. They basically only have this very simplistic system. It's binary. It's like belt or no belt, belt or no belt. And so what we are doing is basically saying, you can keep advancing, but you're not exactly the same thing. Not exactly the same thing. And the difference is that you're doing this for recreation, maybe not because you want to be a professional martial artist. And let's be honest, that might sound harsh to some people, but how many people are professional athletes? Like, very few people. Very few people.
Yes, sir.
So my feeling, and I hope this doesn't crush people's souls and come across too hard, and I hope I'm wrong, but the vast majority of people will eventually gray out. Now, when they gray out, I don't know. Maybe it's, green belt, if someone's really uncoordinated and really out of shape and they're not willing to change those things about themselves. Or it could be never, but it could be much later. It
Yes,
could
sir.
be like when they get their black belt. I think
Mm.
for most people, it will probably start getting really challenging at blue, and then you'll start seeing people gray out at black, and then it will be very few people, only people who are true athletes that make it to 4-3 black belt with a white tip. And that's as intended. And that is okay. That is really okay. Because how many people need to be the priest at the church or the temple? You only need a couple people. Most of the people that go there are going there for personal fulfillment and well-being and all these other reasons. That's why most people study the martial arts. So I don't want people to feel just because they have a gray tip on their belt that they are not important to us, that this is not fulfilling. This is for you. This is absolutely majority for you. I think people will, everyone, not everyone, but most people will eventually gray out, and they'll probably have pride, like, oh, I didn't gray out until like secondary black belt, you know? But there'll be a time when they eventually gray out, except for those who are like, I'm going to start school. I'm going to be a professional martial artist. And those people will make it all the way through black belt, and those will be our ambassadors. Another thing about this system, why it's so important, is that as we develop the one-way program, people are going to be testing our students at tournaments, wherever. And they're going to want to see that we really are everything we say we are. And if you wear that white tip or that black tip, you are responsible for carrying the honor of this school, for winning those matches. Do you want to have that responsibility? Some people, it's not important to them. They just want to come in, they want to get a workout in, they want to have fun. And that's okay. And that's the recreational path. But if you want to carry that torch and be an ambassador for one way as a discipline, then you're going to be looking to get your white tip and your black tips as you're going up through the ranks.
Yes, sir. Can we talk a little bit? So we've talked about graying out. We've talked about kind of what the gray tip means, what the black tip means, what the white tip means. But we haven't necessarily discussed how those things manifest on the floor. Why would I get a gray tip? Why would I get a black tip?
Yes.
And so can we talk a little bit about this idea of the bar? The bar.
Dun,
Dun, dun. Yes, sir.
So we're not changing anything about the way evaluation works. The only difference is there's going to be something called the bar. And the bar is a minimum score in every category that you have to get.
Yes,
and
sir.
where this is really going to come to a head is probably fitness. But it may be in any category. If you don't take your philosophy seriously, you could get a lower score on that. Like, let's say you turned in late and you didn't do any sources and you just kind of winged it and you handread it or something, you might get a low grade on that. And you, even though you were fantastic, you might get a great tip, and think about how frustrating that would be. And then it would be a great life lesson. Take every single category seriously.
Yes, sir.
But I think for the most part, people will start grading out on the fitness, and they probably won't start doing that until blue belt, because to the bar for yellow and green is only going to be a 2. I think everyone pretty much can achieve a 2. Yes, sir.
So just to be clear, what that means is across the board with our evaluation categories, they will have to score at least a 2 in every single
category
to pass at bar or above bar.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And then at blue belt, blue and red, it's a 3.
Yes,
so you have to get 3 in every category. And that's, I think, where people will start struggling with the fitness, unless they make a commitment to become athletic. I think that's where we'll start to see some people struggling.
Yes, sir.
And then black belt, you have to get a 4 in every category. And for those, you're going to have to like be serious, very serious about, you don't just know it to walk through your form. You have honed ability. You've taken time to really do that to you're nauseous. Like, man, I got it. Boom. I just feel it in my body, everything.
Yes, sir.
And it will, in order to get a 4th degree black belt, you have to get a 5 in every category.
Yes, sir.
Not to get a 4th degree black belt, but to get a 4th degree black belt that has a white tip.
Yes, sir.
So that sounds pretty harsh, but you can keep doing it again and again. Anything. In fact, one of the beauties of this system is if you're a gray tip and you're unsatisfied with that, which I hope you are, and you're like, oh, I want to get back, I'm going to get myself a black tip. Like, I don't deserve a gray tip. Great. Come on, show me that fire. Let's change your fitness. Let's do whatever we need to do to get you in there. And you can always reevaluate. And if you can show me that ability, you can get your tip changed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's that simple. And I think so that's one way if you can get a great tip. And when you get that, you're going to get a faded certificate, which shows that you're certified, but that you have a great tip. So you'll still get something from going to evaluation, generally speaking, even if you go below the bar. Now, another way you can get a great tip, and I think this is probably how most people will get great tips, is by being floor promoted. So if you don't go to evaluation for a very long time and you're on the evaluation list and you keep training and putting in your time and pushing yourself, and you show great passion for the martial arts and earnestness on the mats, you can eventually get floor promoted to the next rank. Like a full belt. You can go from 3-stripe green to a blue belt, and you can go from 3-stripe blue to a red belt. And you can keep going like that all the way to 9th degree black belt, but you'll always be a gray tip.
Yes, sir.
And if you want to get a white tip black belt or a black tip color belt, then you have to go to evaluation.
Yes, sir.
That's only fair because other people will think that's unfair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what I foresee happening is people will go to evaluation, and then at some point along the way, they will go below bar, and they will say, my fitness isn't here. And they can choose to keep trying to improve their fitness and keep going back to evaluation to keep going down the professional path. Or they can just keep training and get new belts like they get stripes on the mats.
Yes, sir.
It just will take a little bit longer.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. So
But that's only fair.
one of the questions I had that, as we've been talking about these past few months about the grade tip system specifically, is the grade tip something that I wrote it out really specifically? Does it mean that you did something wrong?
No.
Because I think a lot of people, when they first hear this, they think, oh, I got a great tip. I failed somehow, I did something wrong or something like this. And I just wanted to open up that discussion and talk about the opportunity that the grade tip provides. Personally, I've heard stories here at the Dojang, and I've had experiences as well on my journey up to black belt and first dan, where the gauntlet is thrown and we can internalize that as this is something that maybe I failed at, or this is an opportunity for me to grow. And I was wondering if you could, maybe share some general stories of how something like this tip system might propel students forward further than they ever thought possible. Because that's how I see this system. I think this is a great opportunity for students to rise above.
I'm glad you bring that up, because
Yes,
one of the things that is very common is it's hard for us to see our own ability. I remember the first time I watched myself on camera, I was like, well, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I thought that kick looked a little snazzier, I think everybody sort of imagines that they're better than they are. And this really is very obvious, and I'm sure pretty much everyone can agree, just by looking at other people on the mats, that, you'll get somebody out there and their legs will be like sideways, and her hand will be way out here. And I'll be explaining the details, like this knee needs to be bent, it's like straight, and hands right here. and they look right at me, and then they got a little like almost a grin on their face, and they're like hands out like this, and they're completely unaware that what their body is doing is not what I'm showing.
Hmm.
They're like totally unaware of that. And so what I think this great tip will do is it will help put things in perspective. It'll be like, look, here's where you are. That doesn't mean that's where you have to stay,
Yes,
but
sir.
I gotta be honest and tell you where you are. And
Yes, sir.
then if you want to go to here, you just need to keep trying. You'll eventually get there. I think what will happen for some people is they will ride up some ranks as a great tip, and that will keep them passionate. It'll keep them moving forward. Then somewhere they're gonna hit like a turbocharge, and they're gonna find it in themselves to say, you know what, maybe they get their 4-3 black belt, but it's a great tip. You say, you know what, I can be a real master. Like I can get a white tip. I'm gonna go and like boot camp this and get in super good shape, and I am gonna actually get a white tip 4-3 black belt. I can see a lot of people doing that.
Yes, sir.
Like they might delay their fitness transformation for a little while as they kind of ride through some of the ranks, but at some point they start saying, that's it. I want to be a professional. I want to push myself
Yes, sir.
to meet that bar. And I just think that the great tip has a fantastic ability to put things in perspective for people and to set a very reasonable bar that is continuing to escalate, and kind of show people how I want them to ramp up as martial artists. If they want to do martial arts professionally, like be a head instructor of their own school.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Something that's coming to mind right now, Ms. Reeves.
I was just gonna say what I really like about that system is like, even though if you're a gray belt and you struggle with certain things, you can rise to that next bar and get there. Like, I like that you can steadily still progress, but then you have to force yourself and give yourself that opportunity to get that fire under your belly to like get to that next level, so you can prove not only to yourself but to the others around you that it is possible to get to that point and to become that master instructor if that's what you truly want to do, like with your life, and move forward and progress.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted
Yes,
to
ma'am.
throw that out there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Another reason why this is really important is I think we're very good at catching people at all ages of life and trying to provide a good program for
Yes,
them.
sir. Yes, sir.
And because of that, we've been able to get some people that might have gotten discouraged in another program pretty early on. And some of these people are quite old, you know, and I want to have more of that. I want to have more and more of that. I want to be a school where you can train your whole life. You can train till you're all stooped over and, you know, old.
Yes,
But in order to do that, I can't give that person the same rank as like someone who starts in their 60s is never going to achieve that, probably the same physical fitness as someone who starts when they're 5. And if I give them exactly the same rank, well, the person in here will respect them, but the person on the street won't necessarily, will say, well, how'd you give that person a 5th degree black belt? You know, like, like that person's like kind of like looks old and feeble. And so this allows us to continue progressing them
Yes, sir.
way past where they would have been able to progress before
Had they been locked out?
had they been locked out.
Yes, sir.
Because that's the system that we have right now. Like, you know, you can only get to where your ability is. We want to allow people to continue to advance based on their dedication, their commitment,
Yes, sir.
their drive, and their
Yes, sir.
passion, and give them a place in our school forever as they continue to search for the strength to go back to the grindstone and sharpen their blade, which is their body.
Yes, sir.
And you know,
I think that's a really important point to make as well, is with students who are coming in, whether they are older adults or whether they have some kind of physical limitation, you know, whatever it is, like you were saying before, there's a couple of options here. One option is, okay, this person comes in, they're 83 years old, they have some mobility issues, right? Maybe it's a little harder to get around than it was when they were 15, which is the case, Does that mean that that individual starts out as a white belt? They get 2 stripes on their white belt, and then we say, you're cut off, and that's it. No, that just, it doesn't make sense. That doesn't feel right in terms of what it means to be a martial artist, but it also doesn't make sense to just cut that person and stop them in their tracks, They're going to do Kichos for the rest of their life.
I've met a lot of
Yes,
people
sir.
in the martial arts over the years who really feel super strongly that if you don't have this ability, you cannot be that rank. And then I start having to ask them these questions. So like if you can't beat a person, if you can't beat a yellow belt, you can't be a green belt. If you can't beat all the green belts, if you can't beat every green belt, you can't be a blue belt. There's a lot of schools like that.
Yes, sir.
Those are kind of like rope schools. The thing is, when you start to think about it, does that mean that if you're a kid, you can only get to this rank? And if you're an adult, you can get to this rank? Does that mean if you're a man, you can get to this rank? And if you're a woman, you can get to this rank? Does that mean if you're this tall and this strong and this big, you can get to this rank, but if you're not, you can only get to this rank? Because that all plays a huge role. And that kind of thinking, it's kind of a young martial artist way of viewing things.
Yes.
And what we're trying to do is try to make a place for everybody where they can continue to pursue their passion for the martial arts, but not have to fight for the honor of the school. If you're 70 years old, do you really want to be in the front line, fighting the battles for the school, proving that, that this is the place for excellence? I think you're gonna feel perfectly fine being a recreational martial artist and having that gray tip, and then no one's gonna be looking at you like, well, why can't you kick harder or faster or stronger or keep up with these young kids and doing everything that they're doing?
Yes, sir. I don't want to go too much on a tangent here, but for the students and maybe the parents that are watching who come to class and are doing this kind of recreationally, some of these things, you might hear Grandmaster Old say, like, there are people out there that are going to be looking at you and judging you based on that belt. And you might say, okay, is that really the case? Yes, that is the case. That is the case.
Wear a black belt for a day and you'll feel like it happens really
and
fast.
you don't have to, we don't have to get into specific stories, but I mean, go on any martial arts page on social media, read 3 comments, and then come back to this video. Like, you will see how judgmental it can be, and we want to make sure that students at our school have that safe place, have that place to continue training, to continue working on their craft, and working on their art, without the, like Grandmaster was saying, pressure of having to say, well, I'll be out there on the front line, fighting the good fight, fighting all the knuckleheads that want to come in and start to shake things up.
Another way to interpret this is Shigeru Kano is kind of the founder of modern martial arts. He gives the belts, the uniforms, the Dan system. And in the early days, he just had a white belt. And then he started to say, well, geez, some of these people are like athletes that are trained 3 or 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, that are really good. And then other people are like just coming in here like once a day, and they're, maybe older, out of shape and stuff. And if I put these 2 together, well, these guys are going to destroy these guys. So I'm going to make another belt, black belt. Okay, black belts are the competitors, and the white belts, those are the recreational people that are just doing this for fun on the side. That's kind of the difference between the white tip or the black tip and the gray tip.
Yes, sir.
It's just, are you like one of these people that are going out there and trying to defend the honor of our school? Or are you somebody who's content to just, explore our program?
Yes, sir.
And, be a martial artist for yourself. Like,
Yes,
you don't
sir.
like, it's the difference between being a rock star and just being a lifelong passionate guitarist. You don't have to be a rock star. to be a great martial artist and find fulfillment in that.
Yes,
You know?
sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, thinking about that, that makes me think about the classes, the opportunities, right? Whether you have a black tip, whether you have a gray tip, as you progress through the ranks, that's part of what I think is so awesome about our school is we have weapons class, we have competition, we have demonstration, we have meditation, we have instruction, we have so many different paths to explore as a martial artist. And whether you are, whether you get promoted with a gray tip, whether you get promoted with a black tip, with a white tip, the world of the martial arts is there for you to explore. And I think that is what is most important. And then for those who go on that journey within and say, no, I'm hungry, I want it, I want to go for it, there's the pathway for you as well. With that in mind, with the classes and the class structure, I wanted to maybe pivot into, this is a large conversation, but we still have one more topic to talk about, and that is some changes that are coming up with the class schedule. Those are going to be new opportunities for our Warriors program and some new opportunities for our standard program students. Sir, if there's nothing more to say in regard to the tip system and then in the belt system, can we pivot into that?
Yes, there's going to be a lot of questions about the tip system, and I know it, and we're here to answer those questions, but I don't want to take any more of your time. I know we've talked at length about that, so let's move on. But if you guys have further questions, come see us, and we would love to have a long and thoughtful conversation with you about this change.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We are going to have 2 schedules going forward because we're going to be offering so many classes here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we couldn't fit it all in one. We're going to have the Warriors and the standard program. Now, these changes are probably coming at the start of the next school year. We're not going to make them right away unless we get petitioned because people really want these classes right away. But
we might.
It's a strong possibility. If you really want them, we can give it to you sooner. But we just thought that would be a nice time to do it. On the Warriors side of things, nothing is really changing. No classes are being taken away, but some classes are being added. After the Little Warriors class on Tuesday, and after the Little Warriors class on Friday, we're going to be offering new Warriors curriculum classes that are going to work on forms and defenses respectively. Those curriculum pieces are going to be removed from the Young Warriors class. And we're going to fill that time with more Young Warriors aged appropriate drills that are not curriculum based. And so what's going to probably happen, and you're also going to need to be a blue band in order to come to the curriculum class. So think about it like the old advanced Little Warriors class in a way, but it's only 15 minutes and it's at the end of the Little Warriors class. So you're going to have the Little Warriors class on Tuesday. It's going to be 30 minutes long. And then everyone who's below blue band or doesn't want to do that class will just bow out. And then we'll do 15 minutes of forms. Now that might be just your form, or it might be working on stances or doing your form in interesting ways because we want to keep it exciting. So it might not just be form, but it will be based around your curriculum. So you can start learning that curriculum. And you'll want to take that class because by the time you get double red band, you'll want to know and be checked off on your curriculum to earn your purple belt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That class will require you to have silver membership.
Yes, sir.
And it's kind of like the intermediate class for the standard program. Okay, that additional class. It's going to follow a similar formula to our standard program because we're trying to make our Warriors program as great of a program as our standard program. The other class we're going to be offering is Warriors live training, and that's going to be broken down into rolling and sparring, and that's going to be on Wednesdays after the Warriors class and on Saturdays after the Warriors class, the Little Warriors class. And with the sparring, it is going to require you to have sparring gear, but we are only doing light contact to the body and showing to the face. So it's basically like contact sparring, but with sparring gear on, because we don't fully trust those those 4 or 5-year-olds to show perfect control. Want to make sure that they're always safe.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so that's what it'll be on the sparring day, and on the rolling day, it'll be very much like rolling in the standard program.
Yes, sir.
But we're going to give them a little bit closer attention to detail when we're showing them some of those takedowns and submissions.
Yes, sir.
And we think that this is going to be really exciting. We know that we have a lot of warriors right now that are just,
Yes,
oh,
sir.
the main reason they want to go to the standard program is they want to spar, they want to roll, they want to do that kind of like, that next level of training. And to be honest with you, I think they can do that.
Yes, sir.
The curriculum might actually be a little more challenging for them, but because that self-control is very important, you're not going to be able to do the live classes until you are a 4th merit purple belt.
Yes, sir.
So anyone who's currently a 4th merit purple belt can now start thinking about getting sparring gear, doing sparring and rolling.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to unlock.
Yes, sir. So to talk a little bit about the little bit of a class addition here, but also the theory behind this is, you had mentioned, wow, we've got a lot of warriors right now who are kind of chomping at the bit saying, I want to get in there, I want to roll, I want to spar, I want to move up to the standard program. We ran into a conversation a few months ago where we said, okay, so say we have a student who is maybe ready to transition into standard program, they've got their 9 merits on their purple belt, but they're 6 years old. What does that mean when they transition? Okay, you're ready to roll, you're ready to spar, great. Well, young 6-year-old, you're gonna hop into the standard program, go to intermediate class, and you're gonna be sparring 47-year-old guy over here, 32-year-old lady over here, and they're gonna be slamming you on the, that's the situation that we were running into. Like, oh, that's just not gonna work. This individual, this 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old needs to be working with somebody who's their age on these skills, so that they can, like you said, build, instead of coming up against an insurmountable wall that they're just banging their head into over and over again for the next 5 years. So again, I'm really excited about these classes, because I know that we've got some warriors right now who are going to show up in mass, and they're going to be so fun. I'm very excited about these curriculum classes and the live training classes, the sparring and the rolling.
And for full disclosure, the live training, just like the advanced class in the standard program, will require a gold membership as well.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So basically, once you get blue band, you want to think of upgrading to silver. And then once you get your 4th merit purple belt, you'll want to think about upgrading to gold.
Yes, sir. And to reiterate there, this mirrors the standard program, where as students are moving up through the program, when they get their green belt to attend the intermediate class, they have silver membership. When they get their blue belt to attend the advanced class, they have gold membership. Yes.
And just like the standard program, they're going to be in the Warriors program for quite a while. And
yes,
so that's why we want to have the same kind of upgrade system in there as well.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
To keep giving them those opportunities. Yes, sir.
Yes, to find something new that they can, kind of aspire to. Like, imagine when you're, just starting out, and then you see, wow, these kids are learning how to like get out of different holes. That sounds kind of exciting,
Yes,
and then
yes,
they can do the curriculum classes, and then you start seeing these, purple and orange belts sparring. They say, wow, wouldn't that be cool one day when I can spar and roll too? And then
yes, sir.
eventually they get there. So it creates this, there's always a new frontier, something exciting to explore and do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can we talk a little bit about the change to the standard class schedule and what that's looking like? Again, I don't think anything's being taken away, but just added. Is that
slightly taken away? And we really try so hard not to do this, but there's only like effectively a few hours that we can really get everyone together. If
yes,
it's too late,
yes,
people are like, oh, it's too late, we gotta eat dinner and stuff like that, or and if we go too early, people are like, well, I gotta get out of work, and I gotta pick up the kids, and the kids are in school, and all that kind of stuff. So it really only has narrow band. So that's why live training is only 15 minutes for little warriors, and this and curriculum's like 15 minutes. We don't have time to add huge classes because we only have so much time. So we're trying to slot things at So anyway, because of that, there is going to be one class change, and that is Friday is going to go from all ages to adult only.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And we're also going to have another adult class, and
Hmm.
that's going to be on Wednesday, and that's going to be at 7 o'clock, and that's the one time slot that we still have at 7 that we haven't totally filled.
Yes, sir.
So we got them all filled now, and we thought we need at least 2 adult only classes
Hmm.
to really make it go at getting some more adults in here. Now, we are not going to be expanding all of our classes to be adult. We would love to. I would love that. But the problem is we don't have the time. Like
Yes, sir.
there's
Yes,
no
sir.
time where we can put it where we would get the adult students and still have demo and comp and leadership and all these awesome classes that we offer here that a lot of schools don't offer.
Yes, sir.
So in order for us to do that, we have to take more of a holistic family approach to most of our classes. But because of that, that's why we want to raise the bar to get into the standard program so it feels a little bit more mature. And we've also noticed that there are some adults that just really will not feel comfortable unless they are only out there with adults. And the only time they really seem to be awkward and uncomfortable is when they're first starting out. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
why we're going to have adult only beginner class. And they can just go to those classes and they'll only have adults and they can kind of start their training. And once they get some skill, they won't feel so bad about kicking in front of a kid, but they might feel awkward their first,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
6 months or so.
Yes, sir.
So, and then anyone can go to those beginner classes, if you're an adult and you're like, I just want to work out with adults, just come to that beginner class. You're going to get a great workout. You're going to learn all that cool stuff, but
Yes,
it
sir.
will be those fundamentals that, you can never do too many times.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I do have a question. So with the adult class, is it like 18 and up, or is it like
18 and up.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yes.
Mhm. Yes, sir. And that's not something that's unprecedented either. Our meditation class is 18 and up.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
It's one of my favorite classes of the week.
Yes,
To
sir.
be honest, it's great. It's great when we get the adults in there and everybody can just kind of go, okay, we're all adults here. Let's work. Let's train together. Let's get in there together and continue to improve our art without
Yes.
having to worry about looking over at my kid over there who's I don't know what he's doing. Right. So I'm very excited for this update as well. So we've got the Little Warriors classes coming down the pipeline. We've got the adult only beginner classes coming down. To reiterate, the Friday class is going to be an adult beginner class, but on Wednesday we have added that time slot in. So classes on Wednesday are not changing.
Yes.
We're just adding an adult class after intermediate on Wednesday.
Mhm.
And all of this is going to be available on the schedules that are posted and available in the lobby so that everybody can reference those.
I'm going to throw out a gauntlet. If you want to prove to me that you are a professional martial artist and rising above and everything that we've been talking about today, anybody who's green belt and above, I want to see if you have the grit to do a triple class.
Yes, sir.
Beginner, intermediate, and beginner. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Beginner all ages and then beginner adult only. Any of my adult students.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It's going to be
that
that
would be a fun
Wednesday
day.
class.
Be a nice hump day. Just
Yes, sir.
really put in those hours.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We've talked about a lot.
We've talked about a lot, and why don't you bring it all home, Mr. Trader?
Yes,
Just
sir. Here
recap
we
what
go.
we talked about, and then we'll let these good people get on with
Yes,
it.
sir. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, amazing. You have what it takes to go the distance. We want to see you on the mats. But we talked about orange belts. We talked about great tips. We talked about changes to the class schedule that are going to, all three of these things, provide new opportunities for our students here at the Dojang. With the orange belt, we are adding a new belt to the Warriors program so that students can continue to develop those fundamentals in an environment where they're getting the attention that they need from the instructor, and they're in a pool of other students who are right there alongside them in terms of age, in terms of ability, and they're just going to sharpen, get better and better and better, so that when they transition in the standard program, we're going to be able to look at those students and say, wow, they are ready, and they can do their algebra. Great tip system. I think a lot to unpack here, but at its most simple, we're going to have white, black, and gray tips. White and black tips indicate a student or an individual who is on the professional pathway here at the school or within the one-way program. Gray tip is typically going to indicate somebody who is on a more recreational or amateur pathway. What that means is either they have gone to evaluation and tested below bar, or they've been floor promoted after putting in many, many months or years of training. There is always the opportunity, if you receive a belt with a great tip, to train, put in that work, put in that effort, and be promoted to black tip or white tip. So it is a way to throw out that gauntlet and say, what does your martial art mean to you? You know, and whatever you choose, your instructor is going to be right there behind you, cheering you on and continuing to train with you day in, day out. Last thing is some updates to the class schedule. Warriors classes, we're going to be working in curriculum blocks on certain days, and we're going to be adding some live training blocks on certain days as well. What that means is, if you're in the Warriors program, sometimes you're going to be focusing on core skills, jumping, running, crawling on the ground, you know, building up our bodies to prepare for our curriculum, like our forms, like our defenses. Once we feel comfortable with those things, we're going to transition into live training. That's going to be sparring, that's going to be rolling. So again, many, many opportunities coming up for our little Warriors and our Warriors program. Finally, class schedule. For the adults, for the standard program, we are adding some adult class sessions, and those are going to be available on Wednesdays and Fridays. We want to see you guys bring your adult friends, colleagues, coworkers into the program. Self-defense is something that everybody should learn. Doesn't matter if you're 5, 15, 55, 85 years old. It's something that we can all benefit from. And our adults that are currently training will be the first ones to tell you that, how it has impacted their lives and changed them for the better. So, yes, sir. I think we're about there.
Keep training hard, guys.
Yes, sir.
See you on the mats. If you enjoyed that podcast, please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel, as well as hitting the notification bell. We offer in-person, group, and private lessons at our facility in Kyle, Texas, as well as virtual lessons anywhere in the world. If you'd like to learn more about our programs, you can find us online at risingphoenixtkd.com.